There can legitimately be no more supernova slander. I will no longer tolerate anybody talking down on Eustass Kid or Law. And guys, this chapter proved exactly why. I've been waiting for the Cactus Eustass mid memes to go away, and I think it's finally time. People have been suggesting that Eustass Kid is no rival to Luffy, that he's merely just another side character overshadowed by Law. But here, him and Law are establishing themselves as the Emperors of the Sea. That is what chapter 1039 is about, and here the hell we are to discuss the scans that came out today for chapter 1039. But before we do this, if you aren't already subscribed to talk about all these beautiful manga and anime, please do subscribe, as this energy is only going to keep rising as we get further and further into these stories. Chapter 1039 this year might have been one of my favorite manga chapters. Even though we're only a month in and there's been a lot of good manga chapters thus far, this chapter was absolutely superb. The chapter does begin with Momonosuke. He's trying to get Onigashima not to fall on the capital, but someone calls out to him, some type of voice. Most likely this voice, I imagine, would be Zunisha. As we know, Zunisha is coming to Wano, and there's a lot of speculation in regards to what Zunisha will be doing within Wano. Perhaps she's reuniting the Mink people with the people of Wano, as we know there is a deep, intricate connection with the two group of people. Perhaps she's coming to aid in the escape of people from Wano if Onigashima falls on it, or perhaps she'll even assist Momonosuke in helping Onigashima not fall. But at the same time, what could Zunisha do besides hit with her giant trunk? We saw what she did to Jack. It's kind of more destructive than it is helpful, but nonetheless, she's coming, and that's who I imagine is calling out to Momonosuke. However, with the rest of the chapter, it is all about Captain Kid and Law versus none other than Big Mom. At the end of last chapter, there's a lot of speculation. People are saying, oh no, even though it seems like Kid and Law are going to beat Big Mom, there's no way they do it. There's no way two Emperors of the Sea are wiped out within one arc. In fact, at one point, I was on that same bandwagon, believing that there's no way Big Mom's going to die during this arc. But at the same time, I could see the error in my previous way of thinking. Law and Kid are central to the story and their central rising powers in establishing the new generation of pirates on the sea. If they weren't able to do this feat, it could be kind of a tarnishment on their record, on their resume of being future Emperors of the Sea. But here they are, and they are establishing exactly why they can also sit on the title of Yonko, along with Shanks, along with Blackbeard, and now after this arc, definitively Luffy. Luffy's absolutely Yonko level, I believe, after watching what we've seen thus far. And I think Kid and Law are establishing themselves on a similar caliber. Obviously not to the same caliber or the same level as Luffy, but they're rising up there and they're proving they are absolute threats to the current existing regime of what has been ruling the sea for 2 decades. Oda in Oda fashion, he likes to end the chapter on a kind of a cliffhanger. So last chapter it seemed that Big Mom was possibly defeated, possibly not. But here this entire chapter, Oda has delivered in giving us exactly what we wanted. What we wanted was a giant all-out battle. And this battle for me felt more like a boss fight than it felt like anything else. Have y'all ever been playing a video game and you're having this intense boss fight? It's an incredible difficulty. It is a very, very high diff game and the fight is going on and you barely manage a victory. That's how it feels for Kid and Law right now from my perspective. And during this fight, Kid and Law are actually having a little bit of banter amongst themselves. Law keeps telling Kid that you keep waiting for my move for you to do your move, and it's kind of like you're taking the kind of thunder from me because you're doing the finishing blow whenever I'm actually doing all the work. And I really love that Oda is able to incorporate humor within such an intensive battle, but Law's right. Law is doing the internal damage, and while Big Mom is internally damaged, Kid is beating the absolute crap out of her physically outside of that. So they're hitting her both inside and outside. Honestly, a perfect combination because Kid does some incredibly physical damage to her exterior, and Law is obviously beating up her interior with this absolute busted devil fruit. Let's give some props to Doflamingo for taking a gamma knife. Kind of nuts thinking about it retrospectively, getting his absolute innards being ripped apart with the gamma knife, and you know, that's impressive. Law, as we know, has always been an impressive character. He one-shot Vergo, who had the literal embodiment of armament hockey everywhere on his body. He was jacked as hell. Fantastically designed, but Law has always been someone we've established as really strong. He's obviously been able to have his title as a supernova, as one of the top 3 amongst the supernovas of the story. However, given that Kid hasn't had nearly as much time within the story, not nearly as much spotlight, as Law has been traveling alongside Luffy, so obviously we get more of him, but one of Kid's biggest detractors is the lack of his use of Conqueror's Haki. As we know within the anime, when he used Conqueror's Haki, it literally didn't knock out anyone, it didn't do anything, so people were all clowning Eustass Kid. Oh my god, Kid is so weak, oh, Kid is so blah blah blah. No, Kid is not a mid character, he's the rival to Luffy. It's been established in Sabaody Archipelago. He has a very similar drive to Luffy. He doesn't want to settle for anything other than the seat of the Pirate King. He wants to be the best. He wants to be the strongest, just like Luffy. But to be a rival, you don't need advanced Conqueror's Haki like Luffy has. We haven't seen Kid actually use any advanced Conqueror's Haki here, but he doesn't need it. Him and Law have busted devil fruits. Their devil fruits are awakened. We're forgetting about that. Literally, Kid is on his Magneto behavior. He has an awakened devil fruit, guys. He has an awakened devil fruit. He is super strong. He is no longer a mid supernova amongst Luffy, Kid, and Law. Kid and Law, this fight did some absolute damage towards Big Mom in this chapter. We see her bones literally broken, and she has to use more of her own lifespan to restore her own health. Twice during this fight, Big Mom has had to use her own life force to survive. This is Big Mom. We're talking about someone who hasn't apparently taken damage in years, and here she is with a bruised eye and broken bones. And after she heals herself, Law informs Kid that he doesn't have much of an attack left, that they need to finish this. And before both of their final attacks, Big Mom has a really important dialogue. She's obviously arrogant, she's cocky, she's Big Mom after all, she's ruled the sea for decades. In fact, she says she's ruled the sea longer than these people have been alive. In fact, whenever they were drinking their mother's milk, Big Mom was still ruling the sea, and she said she's sent hundreds of pirates just like them to the grave. But as we know, Law and Kid said that they will literally die before they let Big Mom reach the roof and stop Luffy and Kaido's fight, and they aren't going to back down despite Big Mom's grandiose status, the fact that she's ruled the seas forever. Big Mom has an amazing attack during this fight called Mother's Misery. In Jesus, she has a terrifying devil fruit, and she's a terrifying Emperor of the Sea. In fact, she might be the scariest Emperor of the Sea, in my opinion, especially due to her being absolutely kind of crazy at times. Kaido is scary, don't get me wrong, but Big Mom has that aura about her that you never know what's going to happen. She can go from 0 to 100 very, very fast, and this ability is like an embodiment of carnage and destruction, and it is absolutely scary. While Big Mom attacks Kid, Law does something that I had to reread several times upon first reading it. He literally extends his sword with his awakened devil fruit. He extends it from Onigashima all the way to the actual ground. I have no idea how high up they were, but this was an absolute feat. Law's awakened devil fruit once more proves that his devil fruit is one of the strongest in the series, and I have no idea how he's able to extend it thus far, but this awakening, I'm telling you, this awakening is a game changer for both Kid and Law. And as he's extending his sword through Big Mom and it's extending into the ground, breaking the ground, Law keeps saying it has to be deeper. Pause, but that's not what he meant by that. But he's like, deeper, deeper. The sword has to go deeper. He has to end this. He has to end this now. This is his final attack. And you see Law's crew yelling out, let go or you'll die. And you know what? Law doesn't give an absolute damn. Law keeps going deeper and trying to kill Big Mom. In fact, creating a giant crater within the ground itself. And we see Big Mom actually screaming out. She looks like she's about to die. She's in immense pain, a level of pain we've never seen Big Mom once have throughout this time. The impenetrable Big Mom has finally almost been destroyed. And Big Mom is screaming, burn him to ashes, referring to her new ability. She's saying, use Mother's Misery, because Mother's Misery is kind of in a live form of some absolute carnage, and she's yelling, yeah, burn Law, because Law is obviously doing some intense damage to her. Law's crew just warned him that he might die if he continues, and Law yells out to Eustass Kid to finish it off. And as we know, Kid hates taking orders, but nonetheless, he does what Law told him, despite acting like he didn't. In Kid's Devil Fruit, I honestly think we get kind of slept on a lot of the time. It is absolutely crazy the potential it has, but with his ability, he uses something called Damned Punk and shoots through Big Mom, and it looks absolutely crazy. It looks like Big Mom is about to be defeated. Truly, in fact, she might be defeated right now, but until we see the panels that literally say Big Mom is defeated, we have no idea. But it seems kind of similarly to how whenever King lost to Zoro, it seems that Big Mom is defeated. Within Big Mom's final words of this fight, she says, you think you can take me down? Give it your best shot. I am Big Mom. That grandiose confidence of ruling the sea for decades, for an era. She's been undefeated all this time. And that's exactly why Kid and Law aim to take her down. They tell her that's the exact reason. Your era is finished. Within the narration bubble, it says they're dragging the emperors off their throne, which is exactly what happens. With this seeming defeat of Big Mom, we've now wrapped up all the various fights throughout that are the most important within Wano, and all that is left is Luffy versus Kaido. I can't even imagine what Kaido's going to say when he finds out all of his All-Stars have been defeated, but not only his All-Stars, a fellow Yonko of the sea. These Yonko are literally being ripped off their thrones, and their thrones now with an empty seat now arise as Luffy, Kid, and Law, 3 individuals from Sabaody Archipelago that have absolutely traversed across all of the seas and now have established themselves as one of the strongest people within this story. An unlikely duo of Kid and Law, as they seem to butt heads all the time, but their abilities really have so much synergy, with the internal attacks followed by the external attacks, and both of them awakening and both of them having extremely busted devil fruits. It is only fitting that they were able to take out Big Mom with their unique combination of attacks. I'll say it once more, there is no more Kid slander and no more Law slander. They are rising emperors of the sea. If you've read this chapter already, I encourage you to go back and absolutely look at how long this sword goes from Onigashima all the way down. This is one of the coolest abilities we've seen from Law thus far. I think everybody's always been a giant Law fan, especially because he's always ranked so high in the popularity polls, and everybody's always known Law, yeah, Law is super strong, but now I hope Kid is in that equation as well. Seeing this level of boss battle in a chapter devoted almost solely to the fight of Big Mom versus Kid and Law was something that was absolutely needed, in my opinion, and I'm so glad we had this chapter. In fact, if you can't tell by my excitement, this truly really is one of my favorite chapters I've read this year. Usually in my chapter videos, I kind of have a breakdown of all the various things going on, so obviously there was less analytical things as normal, but recording this was one of the big highlights of my day. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this chapter, please let me know in the comment section below. Please get the hell out with these Eustass mid slanders. Please subscribe if you haven't already, as we are growing. I really want 1,000 subscribers by my birthday, and that's only a month away, so maybe it's not realistic, but why not have big dreams? I hope y'all's weekend is off to a beautiful start thus far. As always, be greedier.